"Will all great Neptune's ocean wash this blood clean from my hand?" said Macbeth after he killed someone. That wasn't very nice.
"No way, Neptune!"
That just so happens to be the floor that today's Tower of the Planets building video is about. In Roman mythology, Neptune is the god of the sea, so when we discovered this blue planet, that's why we named it Neptune. Except actually, no, it's light blue actually, but whatever. And also I'd like to remind you that in September, I'm going to be hosting a big JTOH trivia tournament in Obby Creator over a YouTube livestream, and that you should join the Discord server for more information. I'll probably look into making like decals like I did for Jupiter and for Saturn, but for now, I'm just going to duplicate this and change the color slightly to like that. I also just changed the size to be 400, 400, 400, rather than 420, 420, 420. And where do I want to put this? Right there seems like a good spot. Well, even though Neptune is a brighter color than we thought, darkness will still be a theme in the final two floors of Tower of the Planets for two reasons. One, I feel like this represents Gustav Holst's movement for Neptune in the Planet Suite, and two, at about 30 astronomical units from the sun, not much of its light reaches here, less and less as you go further toward Pluto for the final floor. So for this floor's color scheme, I chose dark navy blue as the primary color and a lighter blue for the accent color. And I also put a lighting changer. Alright, I think these lighting settings will work well. The things I changed were fog end, fog start, clock time, and brightness. So here's what the lighting is normally, but then when you step on the lighting changer, the fog end will do that. So you won't be able to see that over there. You might kind of be able to see the silhouette against the skybox, but since the skybox is mostly black anyway, especially in that area, looking back that way, I'm not too concerned about that. But mainly what I was going for is it's a little bit darker here, and as you continue the rest of the tower, it will also continue to get darker. So now it's time to begin building some parkour now that we've got everything set up. Now the parkour leading up to here is going to come from about right there. Honestly, what I might do is it's not even going to be parkour. It might just be a free conveyor ride like that, or maybe just like a moving part. I'll give you a break on this second to last outside between the floors. What that would also allow for is I can set the tween on this to be however long that moving part takes, so it slowly gets darker as you approach Neptune. Point is, it's darker once you get to here, so it's a little bit harder to see where certain things are. There's going to be lots of like false paths and stuff, hence the mysterious and confusing. The lanterns, Tower of Deep Darkness style lanterns, those will indicate the correct direction. But then that raises the question of how much effort do I really want to put into a false path? And also, how do I make it look like that is where you're supposed to go, and not just clearly a dead end? Originally, I was thinking I might have the fog end much lower, but then how much lower am I going to make it, since it's got to get even lower as you continue towards the end of the tower? Well, I suppose I can kind of hide the false path's false pathness by just putting so much stuff that only if you look really carefully might you notice. At this point, the focus is not on gameplay, but more on the paths, both correct and false. I'll just be duplicating this size platform for now, but what I think would be cool is if later on, when I put in real gameplay, I'll use lots of 3x2 platforms on both Neptune and Pluto. This references their 3-to-2 orbital resonance, meaning Neptune orbits the sun 3 times for every 2 times Pluto does, and the gravitational pulls on each other maintains that perfect ratio, unlike some ratios I could mention. But like I said, first I'm going to place these larger temporary platforms since they make the branches of the path easier to see. Alright, now we have a couple of branches off of this, like, I don't know, central path. You can see it branches off here and here. With the correct path is going to be this one. Now, I'll work more on making these a little bit more convincing than seeing 4 platforms that clearly lead nowhere. Of course, you know they lead nowhere because there's going to be lanterns, but other than that, I don't want there to be any obvious indication. I think maybe if I have them just, like, lead down, like, here and then just, like, stop, that'll be good enough. Now it's time to add the large catching platforms above the planet, which will serve as safety nets. On Jupiter there are 6, but 5 of them were over here, and only 1 was actually above the planet. There'll be 3 on top of Neptune, but they'll be smaller than the 100 by 100 platform on Jupiter. On Neptune, 1 will be 60 by 60, 1 will be 75 by 75, and 1 will be 87 by 87, just to annoy everyone. Next, I extended the path onto the freshly installed platforms, and I think that's enough of it built to place some Tower of Deep Darkness lanterns and get an idea of what they'll look like guiding you along the correct path. Making one of these is simple. Add a 2x2x2 part, make it neon and give it color. I decided to make the same color as the sun, and add a point light, and then you can change any properties of the point light that you want. I decided to keep the point light properties as their default, but on the later, more dark sections, I may decide to increase the brightness or the range. What I think I want to do is maybe something where there's like invisible walls or something, maybe some like indication or shadow platform or something like just along the floor. let's do some experimentation with that. Well, mainly I have two ideas, shadow platforms and particle emitter parts. Why did I come over here? I can just duplicate from parts that are already over here. Let's put both in place and see which one I like. All right, here's shadow platforms and here's particle emitters. Particle emitters make it a little bit harder to tell like where the angles actually are. That is, if you can't see down here, which you can because the fog end isn't that low. So I do think I will go with this, but what you may notice is that these aren't the same color, like the particles are a different color than the part itself, even though I have them set to the same RGB value. Well, that's because when a part is neon, it makes it so that it's like color when you look at it isn't actually what it's set to. It's a bit brighter. So as in, this color here is not 255-255-130. What I've found to work best when you're trying to make like not neon be the same color as something that is neon, it's just best to try and eyeball it rather than try to like, I don't know, go into Photoshop and like eyedropper tool it to see the color. Okay, that color looks good. But now I want to set some other properties of the particle emitter. Mainly, like how densely packed together all the particles are. Which, even if you have it set to the same thing, as is the case here, it'll still look different depending on the size of the part. Because these are still giving off the same number of particles per second, but this is spread out across a greater surface area than this is. Alright, there we go. Now they're not all densely packed together some places and not elsewhere. Using math! Well, I thought about doing some overly complicated equation based on how long the distance is, but then I thought that I'd have to like remember that and I'd probably forget it immediately. So instead, I'm just going to use this simple formula, which is that I take the length of the part, or I guess maybe more like the surface area in square studs. Like if I did this, that would be 22 times 2 instead of 22 times 1. Take the surface area of the part, which this is 22 studs long and 1 stud wide. And then I simply go to the rate property and set it to that surface area. What this means is this will give off 22 particles every second. So in theory, that should mean we're seeing every second about a particle coming from each stud along here, each square stud of that surface. If you apply the same thing to here, which this is 6 studs, and so I set the rate property to 6, that should still apply. Pretty much on average-ish, whatever, every second we should see a particle coming from each square stud. Okay, cool. So I can delete this now, and here is our shadow platform. Last thing I need to do is make there actually be a platform, or rather, wall. So I've just put some walls like this lined up with the shadow platforms below, and just make them invisible. Now, they're going to go up infinitely, even though the particles stop at about right here. So if the parkour goes up to here, you might want to be careful and look down here. Now it's time to fully build and mark out the correct path, as well as all the false paths that branch off of it. Alright, I'd say it looks like things are pretty confusing now. Didn't actually mark any more of the path than I did up to this point, but I do remember the path, and I'll put them in after I convert this to more interesting gameplay. Well, where should we start? I think right here seems as good a place as any. I think I'm gonna pick like a few client objects I want to use a lot. Hanging platforms are gonna be one of them. Let's pick like 2 or 3 more. I'm going to go with kill bricks and rope swings. I'm going to start off pretty simple with these client objects, and then I will expand on them as the floor goes on and make more complicated mechanics using them. For example, these first couple jumps here are just the basic client object and nothing else. And you can see here the way I position these kill bricks are a little more complex than it was right here. But I got the whole floor to make some more complicated stuff using these. So like this isn't that much of a jump in complexity because I don't want it to be, since they're like 2 jumps apart. A way I decided to expand on the hanging platform client objects is by making them more interesting shapes than just squares and rectangles. Throughout the floor I'll have 7 of them in the shapes of letters which spell out Neptune. To make them I first took a hanging platform, then made it invisible and can't collide false, then added some can't collide true parts welded to the invisible part and placed them in the shape of the letter I wanted. Now of course these 3 client objects don't have to be all I use. I can put a neat ladder. Okay, and actually that's completely useless. I'll delete that. Point is, the neat ladder, it's pretty neat, right? See, do you understand the reference there? Because it's like a 1x1 ladder, and there's one of those on Not Even a Tower, also known as neat. Pretty neat, right? So next it was time to spend a while converting the path from boring copy-pasted platforms to actually interesting gameplay using the 3 aforementioned client objects. On Saturday, August 10th, I live streamed and spent about 2 hours doing so. The highlights from what I built were these client objects. First up, I brought back a certain jump from way back on the Earth floor, the Taj Mahal part, where you walk against this wall to push the hanging platform to the other side of it. I did the same thing on Neptune, but the wall is the shadow wall. I did, however, add some parts marking the edges to make it a little easier. On the next platform, I made a spinning rope swing by parenting the swing to the spinner and also welding it to the spinner, as well as welding the rope to the top. I also deleted the client object bool value in the swing object. I wasn't sure if this would actually work because I didn't know if the client object script would work if it's inside another client object, but it did. Nice. Knowing that, I was later able to make an X-pusher rope swing. I basically do the same thing as with the spinner, but I weld it to an X-pusher instead. I also removed the vector force that is normally in an X-pusher, which pushes it back to its normal starting position. Then, in a separate non-client object model, I put 2 parts with a beam in between them to mark the 2 positions and hopefully indicate that you can use this rope swing like an X-pusher rather than having to explain it with a sign. Pleased with this client object, I used it a couple more times throughout the rest of the floor. So that concludes the main floor 9, but we still have the floor 9 extension, which is Neptune's moon Triton, not to be confused with Titan or Titania. Triton is Neptune's largest moon, but unlike Titan and Titania, there's really not much that's super notable about it, but fear not because the gameplay idea I have for it comes from its name. Triton is 1 letter away from tritone, the dissonant musical interval that's exactly half an octave and exactly 3 whole tones, hence tritone. As such, the floor extension's music will be a waltz using lots of tritones. Asterisk. But also, the gameplay will reference the number 3 as many times as possible. So, the first way this is going to reference the number 3 is by using the same 3 client objects that were used throughout the main floor. And the order I'll put them in will be the same order you first saw them on the main floor, that being hanging parts, kill bricks, rope swings. The next one I'm going to reference the number 3 is that we're going to alternate between these, but each time one of them is in use, there will be 3 jumps of that client object. So basically first, let's just start with 3 different hanging part jumps. They should be not boring though. Let me first make it a rectangle like that, and then maybe I can make it slanted by selecting these 2 rope constraints. I can't see it. And then I can shorten them to like 15. This is perhaps a bit too slanted. That's okay. I can just go back and select these 2 rope constraints and set it to like 17.5. Let's see if that's a little better. There we go. And then maybe like a wraparound, or perhaps more of a spin around thing, since you could just spin the thing around. And so you're going to have to spin this around. Now, it would appear you can get on top of it. That's fine too, I suppose. That can just be another method, as long as that doesn't allow for any shortcuts. Okay, so that was 3 hanging parts. Now it's time for 3 kill bricks. I'm going to start with a 0.5 platform like that. Then I'm going to go over here and copy and paste from a spinning kill brick, which I put over here. So I can randomize the rotation a bit. It will spin on this axis, but we can't just have it be the same spin speed. Ew. I have to randomize it. Let's go negative 2.3. And we'll go for a kill brick wrap 2. As I feared, there is a shortcut possible. Well, I guess I should do something about that, shouldn't I? How about I convert this to a slanty wrap? Well, kind of. I feel like you can probably make that jump, though. Maybe I should just make this can collide false, so that if you attempt to shortcut there, it's not going to work out for you. 3 pretty simple rope swings later, there were now 3 sets of 3 client objects. This is all the gameplay there's going to be above Triton, except you knew it couldn't be that easy. You'll actually have to do this section a different number of times than 1. You guessed it, that number is 3. And each time you complete it, it'll get buffed or made more difficult, and to make that was pretty simple. First, I put a button in place, and after you press it, you get teleported back to the start. The button simply activates and deactivates stuff to make the gameplay more difficult. To make a button activated or deactivated hanging platform, though, I needed to name the part I wanted to be button activated or deactivated button activated platform, and then parent the entire hanging part model to button platforms. One more button later, the path leading off of Triton has been activated, and this will lead you to the final floor of Tower of the Planets, Pluto, which will be built in the next TOTP video. Stay tuned. So that's everything I wanted to get done in today's video. Now it's time to play everything start to finish. So leading up to Neptune, there is going to be actual gameplay instead of just a temporary teleporter that won't even lead off of here, because this floor you're going to go back over there for a few jumps and then you'll make your way over there. But for now, it's just a temporary teleporter, and you can see some lighting effects changed. And there's this sign for you to read. Neptune the Mystic. The parkour ahead is mysterious and confusing, but if you follow the lanterns, you will find your way. Good luck navigating the farthest worlds of the solar system. You're almost there. Victory is within reach. all lanterns are can collide false. So, yep, you gotta follow the lanterns. So you got the 3 client objects, hanging parts, rope swings, and kill bricks within the first, 4 jumps. So, yeah, oopsie, that wasn't right. Okay, you can make that jump. It's not even that hard. Well, what you can do is that, at least for now. I don't know what I'm gonna convert this platform to. And you got some more rope swings. Yeah. Oh, and here's the first of those letter hanging parts. You can see it's an in. Then you got the neat ladder. You know what? We gotta give this its proper branding. Where is no one gonna look? Probably on the bottom of this second stud. So there's a little Easter egg for you. There's a 0% chance anyone's gonna notice that if they have not seen this video. But you can see it says neat ladder. You can't really see the T though, so it looks like it just says knee ladder. And you can just jump up here. You can high jump if you want. And look for the lanterns, follow them. Uh-oh. As you can see, within the line between these two ones is the shadow part. So then you'll hopefully note that these things indicate shadow blocks. So keep looking out for the lanterns. You gotta jump across that gap there. The jump's not that hard, but no pressure or anything. If you miss it, your run ends. Then you got this jump where you gotta walk against this wall. Okay, fell off of it, but the platform still went to the other side, which is what you need to do for that jump to be possible. And I still missed it. Well, good thing there's a safety net, because I missed it again. Also, I have no clip, so actually I guess the safety net doesn't make any difference at the moment. There we go, I made the jump. And another rope swing, and now you have this catching platform, so if you miss any of the jumps you're about to do above it, you actually don't have to go all the way back to that one, which otherwise is sort of your checkpoint you go back to with the safety nets. Now what you want to do is wait for this spinning rope to come around, and then you want to jump to this 2x3. And then you want to pay close attention to what this shadow block is like, so you want to know where you want to wrap around to. But basically you want to go to the corners of the parts, kind of like that. It's probably a good idea to make sure you keep looking 2 or 3 lanterns ahead, because this one, it kind of could be going to either route. I mean, it's definitely closer to this one, but if you look ahead, you'll see there's another one over there, and it's okay, yeah, this is definitely the right route. Just make sure you don't die on that kill brick part, and also there's another kill brick here. It's a little ladder thing. This is a little annoying, so I might change it. Yeah, why did I just fall off of that for no reason? There we go. P. And you want to jump to this hanging platform and look around for the lanterns for whether you should jump over here or here. You can see they'll lead you that way, so you should jump over here. It's kind of hard to tell, but the shadow wall goes up to this stud, so you can actually go right to the edge here before jumping to this kill brick. And then you want to jump to the spinning kill brick. Then be careful here because there's a wall. You gotta stick out like that, 2 studs. Then you got this X pusher rope swing. What I do need to do is make them resettable, because if you make this jump and then fail the next jump, and then you get back to here, this is now impossible, because you can't make that jump. And maybe you can make that, but definitely on the other ones of these, you won't be able to jump to its final point of moving to. So yeah, I'll have to make them resettable, but for now, you'll just get soft locked, but you have no clip anyway, so I don't think anyone's doing any legit runs. Let me jump back down here, actually, because knowing the correct route, I just did that. But what you're supposed to do is look carefully at the shadow platforms to notice that you can't jump to that because there's a wall in your way, and you instead need to go to that one stud. So just ladder flick up there, and then pay careful attention to the shadow platforms. What you want to do is jump here, and then make sure you sort of wrap around that to land over here, like so. And then you can just jump to there. This edge is beyond this edge, so now you just got to do a stick out that I missed. There we go. And now you can jump here, and here, and here, and T. Look for the lanterns. You can see there's one down here. So you actually got to jump down rather than what this path more, intuitively, I guess, leads to. You got another rope X pusher. And then here's another pay careful attention to where you can and can't jump. It's not as complicated as it was over there, though. You should be able to see pretty clearly where you can and can't jump to. Oh, look, another rope swing, but this time there's no safety net. But don't worry, I made this little button-timed part very easy. And 30 seconds is way longer than you need. You only need 10 to 15, probably. The point you're trying to get to within the time limit is onto this truss. Then you got some more trusses. You want to climb up like that. Here you want to go up here, and then you want to jump onto one of these spinning hanging parts with a kill brick spinner. And here you've got a X pusher rope swing, except this one, it goes upwards. Crazy. Oh hey, that solves my problem of needing a resetter on that one because it just slides back down on its own because gravity. Some kill brick wraps, and then you want to go on top of the spinner from earlier, and a couple more jumps. And then temporary teleporter, actual gameplay will lead you over there. Ooh, that looks kind of cool. With the fog end, it like kind of makes that fade away into the fog, and you can't really see anything but the lanterns. I like that. And then you got the 3 section, because 3. Alright, and then you want to like spin that around. You can do so by like doing this, walking sort of into the edge. You can also try jumping on top of it, but sometimes it'll do unexpected things. And you can just ignore that button activated wall for now, as you can for those. Also make sure you don't die. Here you got one of these go on top of the rope swing thing. Okay, if you miss it, it looks like you might get a second chance. And then 2 more rope swings. We did one, here is another. And there's the button. You'll notice now, some things are deactivated and others are activated. Be careful here, because there's now a hole in the middle of this spinning platform. I mean, whatever it's called. It's also kind of hard to see, I know, but I will add lanterns eventually. You want to go around the thingy now, because it's there. What you should probably do is like go back and then sort of get more momentum. That'll help you get around. You can see I kind of can't. This will be especially useful once those green platforms are activated. You want to get to here, and it's kind of hard to see because it's so dark, but there is a now activated wall here that prevents you from jumping back to that, because it would just teleport you again. And you want to do this, and you got to do this one more time. On this hanging part, you're now going to jump right towards the edge, because that's all that's still activated. And here you got to do a bigger wraparound. I think it's possible from this side. Just pretend I made that. Yes, okay, it is possible from that side, but it's easier from this side. Says while missing it. There we go. And we're almost there. You just got to do the rope swing again. Oh wait, 3 of them, I mean. This one, it will really help to swing back a little bit to get enough momentum to get around it. And if you don't quite make it, then just do that again. Then you go along these newly activated 1 studs, go on top of here and across these activated 2x3s, and it says this is the end for the time being, but this will eventually lead you on to Pluto. Well, that's going to conclude today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, remember to like and subscribe. We're very close to 4,000 subscribers, so if you're not already subscribed, then please do so. I also went for a different editing style with this video, and I want to know your thoughts on it. You may have noticed there's a lot more of a mix of post-commentary along with the live commentary, and hopefully that'll make these videos more interesting to watch, and also make them not be like 40 minutes long. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video, and have a great day.